Hey my graceful family, in today's video we are going to talk about how long do you leave hair dye in for. By the way, did you guys know that leaving hair dye for a longer period of time can alter the desired amount of color and also it can damage your hair? Many people think that they need to leave in hair dye until it dries on hair, but that's completely wrong. And if you think that leaving hair dye for a longer period will give you more colors, that's not gonna happen. Rather, it will give you a completely different color. So, if you're sitting with a packet of hair color and intend to color your hair, this video is gonna help you to know all the proportion of the ingredients you will require to dye your hair and also the exact time for how long you need to keep the hair dye in your hair. So, what are the deciding factors to tell you for how long to keep the hair dye in for? Not all hair types are same and neither the hair dyes. So, depending on the both, the hair dyes will give the amount of color, hue and tint. So, let's find out. Types of hair dye. Number 1. Temporary hair dye. Has to stay on till you want the dye to show on your hair and then needs to be washed off. Number 2. Permanent hair dye. These dyes need to penetrate into the cuticles of the hair shaft and require a longer time to complete the process. Number 3. Ammonia-free dye. These hair dyes also leave the hair cuticles but through a different alkaline medium. They need considerably less time to develop the color in your hair. Number 4. Demi-permanent hair dye. These dyes also use the oxidation process to develop the color but with a different oxidation agent and need almost the same time as a permanent dye to develop. Number 5. Semi-permanent hair dye. Here, the color molecules directly attach to the hair cuticles, that is, they coat the hair with the dye and no oxidation agent is involved in the process and hence these dyes require considerably less time than the rest. The porosity of the hair. The lesser the porosity of the hair, the less will be the cuticles raised and the less will be the gap in between the cuticles for the dyes to enter and color the hair, and the longer will be the time needed by the hair dye to produce its color in the hair. Thickness of hair. The thicker your hair is, the more will be the time needed by the hair dye to produce the color. The virginity of your hair. If you are just a beginner and are coloring your hair for the very first time, the hair dye will show results quickly. But if you are someone who has colored hair for n number of times, the hair dye will definitely take some time to dye the hair in its color. The condition of your hair. If your hair and scalp are oily, the dye will take longer to settle in your hair, and if your hair is dry and frizzy, the color will show more in less time. So, how to know in how much time will the hair dye give you the desired amount of color? In order to know the exact time in which the color will show up in your hair, you need to perform a strand test the day before. So, how to do the strand test for your hair dye? Take a thick strand of your hair and color the lower half section of the strand. Wait for 20 minutes and take out a thin strand of hair and take off the dye using water. Then wait for another 10 minutes and take out another strand of hair and wash with water. Then wait for another 15 minutes and take the rest of the strand and wash off with water. Wait for the entire night and check the next day which strand of hair has produced your desired color. You can take 3 separate strands instead of a single thick strand as well. The next day, leave in the hair dye for the time that has produced your required color on the strand. So, how long do you keep color hair dye in for? In general, we should leave the hair dye for about 30 to 45 minutes and the color should appear on your hair. But this is for permanent hair dyes. For semi-permanent hair dyes, it should take much less time. So what happens if you leave hair dye in for a longer time? If you leave a hair dye in for too long, it will color your hair darker than required. But in case you are trying to make your hair blonde, leaving the hair dye in for too long won't lighten the hair color anyway, but can damage the hair, making it brittle and frizzy. So leaving hair dye in for too long is never a solution to make the color pay off more, but will pave the way for hair damage instead. Now the question comes, does the hair dye get darker if you leave it for a longer period of time? The answer is, leaving the hair dye for a longer period of time than required can make your hair actually darker. And the results are more in case of semi-permanent hair dyes than permanent hair dyes. That's all my beauties for today. So grab your hair dyes and change your hair. Hope this video was helpful for you, and do stay tuned for more such updates on skincare, hair care and fashion. Till then, bye-bye.